Mario, ti uzmi.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press conference. It is my great pleasure to greet you here at the city of Split at the informal meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the EU MED9 group. Following the press statements, no questions are foreseen. However, individual statements will be possible after the conclusion of the conference for those who wish. It is my honor to invite our first speaker, our host, Mr. Goran Grlić Radman, Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of the Republic of Croatia. Minister, you have the floor.
Good evening to everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear Minister, dear colleagues, and today in Split, Croatia officially started its presidency of the MED9 group, which includes Mediterranean and Southern EU member states. We gathered foreign ministers and representatives of member states with the participation of European Commissioner for the Mediterranean, Madame Dubravka Šuica. We discussed how the crisis in the Middle East affects security in the Mediterranean, the EU, and at the global level. We jointly welcomed the ceasefire between the United States and Iran and commended Pakistan and other regional actors for their mediation efforts. We called for maximum restraint, which would enable further negotiation on lasting and sustainable peace. We focused on impacts on maritime security, transport, supply chains, and energy. In this regard, I would like to stress that Croatia contributes to energy security through the LNG terminal on Island Krk and Adriatic oil pipeline JANAF, which means an Adriatic pipeline. We also discussed possible increased migration pressure, which is of particular importance for Mediterranean EU countries. We agreed to strengthen coordination among MED9 countries and at the EU level and between both Mediterranean shores. In this context, we highlighted the importance of the Pact for the Mediterranean, which will further strengthen cooperation with the EU's southern neighborhood. We will continue the work we started today here in Split by organizing thematic ministerial meetings during our MED9 presidency. The meetings will be dedicated to energy, irregular migration, and protection of external borders and environmental issues. In addition, we, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, will gather again for the follow-up on the margins of the Dubrovnik Forum in June. These efforts under Croatian presidency will be wrapped up at the MED9 Leaders Summit this October here in our beautiful coastal town of Split. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. Now I invite Madame Dubravka Šuica, European Commissioner for the Mediterranean. Madam Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening to everybody. Dobar večer svima. I'm very pleased to be in Split tonight for this informal meeting of MED9 countries. It is more than essential at this moment to meet and to have meeting of this group, to act together, knowing what's going on in the world, knowing what's going on in the Middle East, and knowing what is going on in Lebanon right now. So just at the beginning, I want really to condemn what's going on in Lebanon, and looking forward to ceasefire also there. Although now we heard that a ceasefire in Lebanon was not part of this agreement between Iran and the US. So what we are advocating for is a separate agreement between Lebanon and Israel. The situation as I said, in the Mediterranean is very complex, is very changing, and as you know, we adopted the Pact for the Mediterranean some months ago, and it was more timely than ever. It's about energy security first, in order to accelerate the diversification of energy sources. Then it's about security cooperation. As you know, we work closely with NATO, but also at the same time we are strengthening our own capacity to act. This is also very important. This is why we are strengthening our own defense system. It doesn't mean that we don't support NATO, but we want to work in parallel, and we want to make Europe strong enough. The third issue is migration. We must remain vigilant, although at this moment there are no migration flows from the impacted Middle East and Iran, but we have to be, as I said, vigilant and see how we can handle this issue if it happens and if it has consequences for Europe. We are also deepening our cooperation with the Gulf countries. Gulf becomes very important. It is part of my portfolio, and we are in daily contact with ministers of foreign affairs and President von der Leyen, with leaders from the region. Next week, I will present action plan of the Pact for the Mediterranean with the many flagship projects. One of them is Mediterranean University. Another one is MED initiative, which means clean energy for Mediterranean. When I say clean energy, that means that we want to decarbonize the region, because if we decarbonize this part of the world, which means northern Mediterranean, and not decarbonize southern Mediterranean, the sea and the Mediterranean will be polluted again. So we have to acquire the same standards. We have to produce cheaper energy, and in the end, we have to get rid of Russian fossil fuels. This is our final goal, to be open and And then we have also some other flagship projects. This action plan will be adopted by the end of this month. So I want to thank you for your presence, for your interest, and hope that MED9 will be very important and very successful Croatian presidency, and that I hope that a lot could be gained from MED9 and from Croatian presidency, and looking forward that part of these MED9 countries and MED9 projects and initiatives will be part of new European security strategy. This is very important to somehow reserve the space or book the space for Mediterranean in new European security strategy. Thank you so much. Hvala lijepa.
Thank you, Commissioner. I now invite Mr. Antonio Tajani, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Italy. Minister, please, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Gordon for the hospitality in this beautiful town. It's important today to send a clear message in favor of peace and stability of the Middle East. We are very happy for this ceasefire. We welcome the ceasefire. We want to push hard for strengthening this ceasefire between the United States and Iran. I think it's important to work now for the freedom of navigation. Hormuz is crucial for us. It's crucial for energy, but also for fertilizers, not only for our agriculture, but also for many African countries. The stability of African countries is very important for all of us. Of course, Lebanon is one of the most important points today. Yesterday, during a long call with President Aoun, I underlined the importance of the stability of this country. We are against the Israel attacks against Lebanon, but there are good news now. During the meeting, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel called me for inform me on the decision for new negotiations between Israel, direct negotiations between Israel and Lebanon, probably in the United States of America in the next days. This is an important step. The direct dialogue between these two countries is important for achieving good results. I hope for achieving a ceasefire also in Lebanon. Italy is ready for doing its part for the stability of this country. There are in this country Italian soldiers, not only in UNIFIL missions, but also in bilateral missions, for helping the armed forces of Lebanon, and working also for organizing the next days my trip to Beirut for talking with President Aoun, for sending a clear message by Italy for the stability of this important country, important for the dialogue also between Christians and Muslims in very difficult region. On the other points, of course, I totally agree with the Commissioner Dubravka Swifka, and I want to thank the MED9 because they approved my proposal to organizing a permanent coordination mechanism with North Africa and the Middle East countries to highlight the need for a common strategic policy on key issues like energy and environment for growth and prosperity. This is very important for this organization. The stability of the Mediterranean region, the Gulf region, is very important also for the future. And also I am very happy because there is an agreement also for pushing in favor IMEC corridor. This is important for energy, for infrastructures, and for trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I invite Mrs. Tanja Fajon, Minister of Foreign and European Affairs of Slovenia. The floor is yours.
Dobar večer, dobro večer. Thank you so much. Good evening. And first of all, thank you, dear Gordon, and thank you, Croatia, for a great hospitality, for inviting us tonight to Split. MED9 is an important platform for cooperation, together also with other partners on the other side of Mediterranean, especially in these very challenging geopolitical times. And I wish Croatia all the success in the year of its presidency, taking the flag and the work from Slovenian presidency last year. And I think that our message today is very clear and very important as regards the Middle East. It should be clear and loud. We call on all sides to stop the violence now. The violence in the Middle East, be it in Lebanon, be it in Iran, or Gaza, or West Bank, must stop now. We have to end the killings of innocent civilians, the structure of civilian infrastructure that is against the international law, against the international humanitarian law, and what we urgently need now, and Slovenia calls all sides, is to respect the international law, is to return back to diplomacy, and we need peace. We cannot afford another war. So it is important that we discuss in any possible format, and I also welcome today's, hopefully, proposal to another peace round, because ceasefire in Lebanon is extremely important. I strongly condemned the attacks yesterday in Lebanon, the attacks from Israel on innocent civilians and civilian infrastructure. So this spiral of violence that is hurting us all has to stop. I also said today we should not forget what is happening in Gaza or West Bank, because at the same time what happened is that the Israeli cabinet announced tens of new illegal settlements on the West Banks, and this is illegal, and it's against international law. And we need to open also humanitarian access to people in Gaza. Equally, I spoke today with our Jordanian colleague, who calls on all of us to help with humanitarian assistance to Lebanon and to civilians in need. So we see that the situation is deteriorating in Middle East from day to day. The aggression continues, the violence continues, and the killing of innocent civilians continue. So it is our great responsibility as international community to call on all sides to restrain, to get back to diplomacy, and to return back to peace to people that need it. And the same goes to Hormuz. And the opening of Hormuz is extremely important. We speak about maritime, we speak about the maritime law and the freedom of navigation. And we will continue urging everyone to respect the laws and to respect the also UN Charter and bring back to collective security and peace in the Middle East and elsewhere that affects us all on European continent. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite Mrs. Ines Domingos, State Secretary for Foreign Affairs of Portugal. Madam State Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank Croatia's leadership of this group and to thank for the organization of this meeting at a moment of significant pressure in our region. Portugal welcomes the strong sense of convergence among partners that we witnessed here today. We welcome the ceasefire reached between the United States and Iran and commend Pakistan and other regional partners for their mediation efforts. We call, of course, for maximum restraint to enable further negotiations toward a lasting peace and sustainable peace, which is crucial for everyone. We stress the obligation of all parties to fully respect international law, including the UN Charter, international humanitarian law, as well as maritime security and freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Any failure to uphold the ceasefire risks serious escalation with direct consequences for regional and global peace and security. Our discussions here today also focused on the interconnected challenges facing the region, including maritime and energy security, resilient supply chains, protection of critical infrastructure, environmental risks, taking in stock secondary challenges such as migratory pressure and hybrid threats, which require a coordinated and forward-looking European response. Portugal also stressed that the Mediterranean must be addressed as a whole, including through a Western perspective, as developments across the basin directly affect European Union security, stability, and economic resilience. From Portugal's perspective, this discussion also needs an Atlantic outlook, given the close connection between the Mediterranean stability, Atlantic routes, and Europe's overall strategic reliance. Portugal welcomes the Pact for the Mediterranean as an important framework for strengthening relations within the southern neighborhood and stressed that its implementation should deliver concrete support for regional stability, including humanitarian efforts. This group of southern countries of the European Union remains, in our view, a key platform for collective action and political influence within the EU. So Portugal stands ready to assume the MED9 chairmanship in 2027, and we are committed to strengthening coordination around a shared vision of the Mediterranean as a central geopolitical challenge for Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, State Secretary. Hereby we conclude our press conference. Thank you very much, all to ministers, deputy prime ministers. Hereby the press conference is over. Thank you.